right side of history. Right side.
General Hall, you've got to get us out of here now! I won't let you down. I won't let you down, son.
Revolution.
And happy Thursday morning. Welcome to Morning Coffee Rants with Dan. I am Dan, the Spiritual Anarchist. I have a good show lined up for you guys. Hopefully I'm on here and being heard. If I'm not, somebody will pop on and tell me. I'm not used to Discord, so this is new. Yeah, I think I'm on here. Good. So, I am on Revolution.radio Studio A at 9 o'clock every Thursday morning. Be sure to come check me out. I'm going to be getting better and better as I go along. I am not used to Discord. I got to tell you, man, sometimes doing something new, I'm not exactly a young person, and doing something new is still very exciting. It's awesome to do something that you're not really good at for the first several times. I love being a student. I'm going to get into a little bit of that later on, because what we do in life, we have to follow, our joy. What is it that ignites us? And for me, that ignition has always been to see that light bulb come on, that light bulb of understanding when you're teaching somebody. And you can tell that they just picked up what you put down. I do get a charge out of that. I'm going to be honest. My nickname's Thor. I get a charge out of that. Pun intended. Anyway, that is kind of important, actually. It's very important, because if you're going to do something, you have to have the willpower to power through things like this. Okay, I want to apologize. Last week, I tried to play a video on here, a YouTube video, and I wanted to just play the audio of it. And it was a 2-minute video by Corey Enderlot, and it had to do with something I was talking about last week. It was a really good video. When I was able to download the video the next day from the archives, that 2 minutes of my archived video was silence. So I obviously didn't do something right. So I played with it a little bit yesterday here with Discord to get more used to it. And I'm still not going to play videos yet. I want to make sure I'm doing this 100%, because there is a lot you can do with Discord. But it's a video gaming platform that we're using for something really great. And again, I want to thank Revolution.radio for getting me on so quickly and getting me enough training to be able to do this. That's willpower right there. Skype was closing down teams, all that. So they had to go to something else. It takes willpower. So what drives the will? It has to be love under will. It has to be. Love has to drive what you're doing. Because I was thinking to myself just last night, like, wow, wouldn't I rather be on an island someplace with, 20 people that you really like and love, and just not to deal with none of this evil or fear porn in the world, right? And I'm like, no, I like to teach. I'm not doing this. I wish I didn't have to do this. There's other things I could be teaching besides teaching karmic law and the real problem that faces humanity. It's one problem only that faces humanity, and that is people not understanding what basic ground level foundational morals are, what basic God's law is. In a nutshell, don't initiate harm, don't steal. People overcomplicate things when they want to take advantage of you. They overcomplicate things when they're manipulating you. They overcomplicate things when they are being deceitful and lying to you. Let me close. Okay, just that. So, I'm looking forward to February 21st and 22nd of 2026 for the Ignite Hearts and Minds. It's an online conference, a lot of good speakers, a lot of motivational speakers, but also a lot of truthful speakers from various backgrounds that are going to be giving you useful, good information, speaking from their own experiences. We need this. We need more people to ignite. And I'm going to be doing a 1-hour presentation there as an order follower. And I had to say to myself, like, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing this for? I don't want to be famous. I really don't. And I think some people in the One Great Work Network, I love you guys. Anyone listening, I think some of you kind of figured that out by now. But like a couple people said before, I may not have a choice. So, okay, I'm forging ahead. Like my friend Dan, God rest his soul, came through a spiritual medium last year and told me to do. And I've been getting forged this last year, let me tell you. I've been getting tempered. And part of that tempered is not letting an emotional reaction control my actions. Okay? Take time to pause. Remember the pause. So, Ignite, it's funnel. It stands for Freedom Under Natural Law 5. Funnel 5. 5 is one of my spiritual stories I have. The light bulb story, slowly going on and off in my garage 5 times. A light bulb. Ignite. You start putting synchronicities together when you realize, and there's a book out there, let's see if I got the name of it anymore. It's called When God Winks at You. I recommend the book, When God Winks at You. These synchronicities are how our spirit guides and how entities from higher vibrational dimensions that we can't see communicate with us many a times. Now, the reason I put that in there is because, in the beginning when I was talking about that light bulb moment, when you see that light bulb go off, and you've helped to facilitate learning. See, I've always been the guy, and Dan Peters will tell you, that archetype was always I never could stand bullies. And to be clear, I don't try to do good to make myself feel better about some bad that I did. I do what I do, a lot of times it's because of comic books, to be honest with you, but it's also because I grew up in a bad home. I'm not going to sit here and cry to you about that. Read my book, Rise from Darkness. I've had some people say they couldn't even read through parts of my childhood. I'll tell you this, my stepdad was a racist and an alcoholic. I have forgiven him for his abuse. But when I rebelled against him, I rebelled against racism, alcoholism, all that stuff. Not that I don't use it in moderation, but I rebelled against it. Women are sacred. You don't hit them. And no student of mine is ever going to do that and keep their fucking black belt. I'll cut the thing right off you and I'll cut it up in shreds. If it's that important to you, go buy one. Anyway, went off on a tangent. There's an emotion. Oh my God, I had one. That's another thing. Spiritual people, we're not allowed to have emotions. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to spiritual bypass anyone or myself. So anyway, Funnel 5, 21st, 22nd February. What ignites your soul? What's going to get you into this fight to free humanity? It's going to be a good conference. I'm honored to be speaking at it. I'm honored to be on the One Great Work Network. Mark Passio invited me. There's like 90 people on that network, 90 content creators. I'm really having an easy time with it. He put together a program that I'm using. I'm like much easier than Discord actually even. And you know, not that Discord's complicated. I just never used it, but it's. If Mark, if you're listening to this, thank you for inviting me on board. And so far, so good, man. I'm catching on to everything. I really like how you have it set up. Thank you. So let me move on here to the next thing. And open this back up again. Yeah, you have to bear with me because I'm still getting so used to this. Okay, so far everything's good. Everything's good. Outstanding. And so, what are we going about here? I want to give a big disclaimer before I get going into some of my main topics that I want to talk about today. Big disclaimer, man. I don't want to waste my time. Consistently anyway, talking about politics, which is smoke and mirrors to give people the illusion of choice. Just like human authority to rule other humans is a false paradigm. No human being under God's creation has a right, any inherent right, to rule another being. People just can't seem to get that through their heads. To the point where, throughout history, truth tellers, okay, also known as prophets, I'm not calling myself a prophet, but truth tellers who spoke the truth bereft of political affiliation, often were martyred. That's what happened to Jesus. No one wants a truth. No one wants the truth. They want to stay in their fantasy, their two-party fantasy. Now, here's the good news. I'm not going to be all Mr. Down and Dumps. The good news that I'm seeing is a lot of moderate left-wing people and a lot of moderate right-wing people are starting to realize this. And I don't think it's too late. But part of the problem lies in, as a person who wants to speak about the causation of the problems in the world, right, to diagnose the problem, you have to, what is the problem? Moral relativism? Not knowing the simplicity, the simple truth of God's natural law. Don't do unto others that which you wouldn't want done unto you. Karmic law, cause and effect. What you put out is what you get back. They throw it out in our faces right now. This world is being ruled by an evil priest class. Several groups of these evil priest classes. They'll fight it out in the end or whatever, but right now they're very, very strongly enmeshed together to get the job done to that point. By the time that time comes, the archons will be back. This isn't human-driven. I've been saying it over and over again. I am a conspiracy analyst. I do have some theories. I'll say when they're theories, or when I think they're theories. But objectively speaking, I had a martial artist in 2018. God bless him, because he has bad legs, crippled. One of the most skilled martial artists I know, too. I felt sorry for anyone who tries to steal his lunch money. Hector, I'll give you a shout out if you're listening, brother. He asked me, what is truth? What is truth? And I thought on it for a little bit. And truth is simply that which has already occurred. So if we look throughout human history, what is the truth of government? All governments have lied to you. At one point or another, all governments sacrifice their own people for greed. And for other reasons that I'm clueless. I'm completely clueless. But if I don't speak about the symptom of the problem, okay, the causation of the problem, the diagnosis of the problem is people not understanding the simplicity of natural law, of karma. It exists. Just like thermodynamics exists, just like gravity exists. These people get order followers to do their bidding for them, because then they don't have to reap the negative consequential effects of their desires. I'm going to get to that more towards the end. But what I'm getting at right now is, I don't like to talk about the plane of effects and talk about this symptom of the immoral murder of people, the immoral desecration and murder of children, the enslavement of humanity at the hands of other humans. They've gone beyond just keeping us in this country in a two-party divide, where you're egoically connected to a party. Now, there's been a lot going on, of course, with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And the only reason why I'll talk about things like that is because anytime a truth teller starts speaking about these things and starts trying to warn the people what they're seeing, that the people themselves can't see or properly articulate, we try to point out that they're both the same, essentially, that they're working together, that your side's not better than the other side. Both sides do the same thing: steal and murder and enslave. They do it through different avenues now, but they do it. The only reason why I'll talk about it is because it's an attempt to get the people to see and unite. Okay? If I get to the Charlie Kirk assassination, I didn't know who he was. I started researching him, and then I kind of looked at him on YouTube, and I recognized him. I'm like, okay, the guy was charismatic, well-spoken, and actually, he spoke some righteous shit. He spoke some righteous shit. Now, he was political, and there was things he said that I didn't care for, because I'm not political. But there's a couple times he said some stuff. See, and he talked about they. He said they. I wrote a book called Rise from Darkness, Who Are They?, where I start getting into it, and how I came out of my own darkness to be able to see the truth, because I had reconciled contradictions within belief systems, okay? Not within activities, within belief systems. And activity would fall within a belief system. I mean, I could break that down too, but I'm not going to get that in depth on a 1 hour radio show. But he said something that I've said. He worded it. I like the way he worded it better. I've said that people want to argue over the low hanging fruit and the grounded fruit, even the minutia, while the world is burning. We're being enslaved. He said people want to argue about the leaves of a tree and never get to the roots. I was like, wow, I'm going to use that one. So Charlie Kirk, wherever you're at in creation, because life doesn't end here, wherever you're at in creation, I hope you're resting in power and chilling out and having a good time. I'll have some things to say about some of that stuff in a second. But they immediately start coming out with all these crazy conspiracy theories on purpose to make any real questioning look ridiculous. It's always been like that, man. And they do this type of thing, and I got to read something really quick. Hold on a second. This might take me, this might take me 1 second. I got to onto another page here. Besides putting things into your face, they rub contradictions in your face. They put symbolism in your face. Symbolism will be their downfall once you start to read symbolism. Problem is now is we got conspiracy, quote-unquote, theorists out there who are they're basically goofing on symbolisms too. So they're making it as confusing and frustrating as possible. And with everything I've seen in the last week, I wasn't sure what was more troubling: the lack of critical thinking to ask questions, the gleeful reaction of an entire woke section of our society that was celebrating the murder of someone. Even if it's an alleged, even if like the most craziest conspiracy theorist is totally correct, why would you celebrate a murder of someone? Do you know what that puts out into the collective? You're being fooled by dark psychologists to do this. And to you psychologists, where the fuck are you at? I worked around y'all. And doctors. No one's speaking out about anything, man. Yeah, it's bad. And also the right seems to want to surrender to violence to gleefully support the military in cities, without realizing they're not putting 2 and 2 together between the left and the right. They're not connecting the dots. There's about 9 of them. The dots are real close together. They're not hard to connect. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I'm just using predictive analysis. Low-level cop here, man. I wore marijuana beads when I worked plain clothes. And gave a lot of breaks. I considered myself a peacekeeper. I'll get into that later, but I forgot where I was going with this. But I know. Okay, so like if we have, for instance, one conspiracy theory out there with Charlie Kirk is that since he didn't accept money from Netanyahu and from whatever, and he spoke against Israel, they assassinated him. Okay, well, let's think about that for a second. I watched the clip. He was very careful how he spoke. I have no clue what was going on behind the scenes. I heard Candace Owens said he had a very stressful 2 weeks. I'm sure he did. Brave young man, 31 years old, right? So he was real careful how he spoke, but he didn't speak against Israel. He spoke against a genocide and murder of an entire race of people. He spoke of the truth he's seen when he was there, that every 10 yards there was a 19 or 20-year-old with an automatic rifle in a city that's the most police state secured city in the world. You know, the Palestinian people have no army of any kind. None. There's some dudes dressed up calling themselves Hamas supposedly have somebody and it gives them an excuse to bomb civilians. At this point, think about it, folks. Let's use common sense. If Hamas really fought for their people and loved their people, at this point, don't you think they would move their operations someplace else? I don't know. I know a lot of Palestinians even refer to Hamas as terrorists themselves. I know that hundreds, and this is something I want the Arab nations of the world to kind of cue in on a little bit. Not all people of any given race are bad. So the Israelis, doesn't matter if they're the European ones or if they're the Hebrew Jews, it doesn't matter. The Israelis, hundreds, a couple hundred thousands were taken to the streets and protesting the war. Protesting all of it. They don't show you that on TV a lot. I've seen people be protesting it a couple of years ago in the Israeli police, who looked more brutal than the IDF, which they probably are all. Well, they are all former IDF. They were beating these guys up and throwing them back into their houses. There's not everybody is for this over there. Regular people just want to live, man. And violence is not going to be the answer. And seeing the right wanting to surrender to violence so quickly. I have to talk about it a little bit. This is the plane of effects, but we have to get some people to start seeing the lunacy of it, while simultaneously getting people to understand what the actual real solution is, which is living in accordance to God's simple natural laws. Just to keep it simple, stupid, don't initiate harm to another being, and don't steal something that's theirs. Their right to consent. Okay, being one. Don't think that anyone's allowed to do something to you that if you couldn't go do it to your neighbor, it's not right. You shouldn't have to be told this. But at any rate, he didn't speak against it. He actually just spoke the truth. He spoke against the war, not against the country. So I highly doubt that was the case. I had some simple questions personally. I'll throw those out there in a second, but getting back to this thing in the cities. So back in 2023, boots on the ground, it might have been 22, boots on the ground, I was talking to recruiters. And there's an Air Force recruiter that says they haven't been able to recruit in a couple years. And of course we were hearing on the news, it was, Operation Mockingbird, every news station from top to bottom, problems with recruiting, problems with recruiting, problems with recruiting, problems with military enrollment, enlistment. Okay, it was all the same shit all over the country, right? This recruiter told me that he had healthy, athletic 12th grade males wanting to join the military, but they'd go through their high school record and they had a twisted ankle in the 10th grade playing football. They got disqualified. We got our military. That was the left guy, so it's the left's fault. It's the left's fault. Well, during the left's administration, what else did we see? What else did we see? They couldn't possibly be working together. This is just coincidences. It's all coincidences. I think some people should become coincidences theorists. Guys of military age being escorted over the border by our own fucking troops, in some cases. And then within 8-9 months, I start seeing ads on Facebook. I can't even post something about you don't have to wear a diaper on your face without Facebook, taking down my page or doing whatever. And they're posting ads for pathway to citizenship. Join our National Guards, serve, and you have pathway to citizenship. Now, if I connect the dot over to the current administration, they are using fear-based propaganda to get military to take over police departments. And a couple of the people I've talked to really want their pound of flesh back from 2020. Okay, guys, I feel ya, but two wrongs ain't gonna make a right. okay? Jesus said if you get slapped across the face, turn the other cheek. That doesn't mean let them slap you again. It means teach them again. We don't have leaders. We have rulers. Leaders teach. When was the last time a politician or a monarch that you could think of taught you something besides fear and mis and disinformation? You know, it's got to end. I'd still say violence is not the answer, because this is what you got to understand. What the left administration did put things in place to have the other right administration doing what it's doing now, putting troops in cities in charge of police. Okay, this is like Operation Hummingbird, German Night of the Long Knives. They're just doing it in a different way, and they're using fear of crime while creating a pressure cooker of a country with all the fear-based media, with all the everything to keep you vibrating in this low state of fear. And then there's the real crime. Guess what happens when the left comes into office and they have a couple more shootings here, a couple more shootings there? All you right-wing people who are all for this, they're coming for your guns, bros. They're coming for your guns. I don't have a gun fetish. I don't give a shit. But I'm telling you, they're coming for your guns. You know, I wake up this morning and I see on my browser, the sun is waking up and NASA doesn't know why. Fuck NASA. I work for them too as an order follower. You don't believe anything they say. They got EMP weapons. They got weapons that can EMP. They don't need a sun flare to put out the whole world. They can do it themselves. But what if the sun does do that? Okay, don't worry about what you can't control. My recommendation is to have between 3 to 4 months of food, water, and a way to heat yourself. Because when this sun flare coincidence hits, it's going to be during the coldest months of the year. Just a guess. It's just a guess. I'm being a coincidental theorist now. Okay, it's just a guess. That aggravated me. So what I'm getting at is, if left and right, if you connect the dots, I get it. Okay, so say you're a boxer and you're in the 4th round, and you've pretty much dominated all 4 of those rounds. You've done good. You're definitely winning on all the scorecards. Maybe even one of them you had a 2-point round, right? A 10-8 round. And then about the last 20 seconds of that 4th round, you get clocked good. You really get your bell rung. In fact, you get it rung so bad that had there been 30 to 40, even 50 seconds left, less than a half a round, you probably wouldn't have made it out of the round. But you were able to hang on for 20 seconds. Now you're sitting in the corner and your coaches are on you and you're starting to collect yourself at about the 40-second mark maybe, and you think to yourself, son of a bitch, how did that happen? All right, okay, dude, I got lax. I was winning, I got lax. What's that guy going to come out and do now in the 5th round? He's going to come out and want to get his pound of flesh back. So, of course, the right wing wants to get their pound of flesh back. Send in the blah, 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 blah. Send in the military. Not thinking that the same excuse, fear of crime, is going to be what the left uses to come take your guns. And there'll be some other false flag shootings. Or real ones. Combination of both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Not everything always has to be hard, one way or the other. Sometimes it could be both, depending on circumstances. So I would caution, the right way. Now, as a cop, I'm trained. I was almost a detective. I did a lot of investigations. I wasn't nothing fancy, though. You get trained to see inconsistencies. You get trained to see, look below the surface. You get trained to have curiosity about things, to question what your own eyes see sometimes even. They purposely throw out anything that's going to grab a strong emotional reaction out of you. You need to pause with it for a little bit. Where's your unhealed wound? Where's your bias? Where's your prejudice? Because they're using Hegelian dialectics to keep a two-party system going that's keeping us enslaved. It's dividing us. They want a one world government by 2030. There's forces that seem to be at work ruling our governments, folks. Right wing, I want you to understand something. In 2020, the United States of America's left wing was not responsible for every government in the world locking down their citizens and putting diapers on all of our fucking faces. Okay? Hey, left wing, I want you to understand something. The whole world was not brutalized by the right wing political party of the United States and forced to put face diapers on and locked down like slaves. The whole world wasn't affected by Operation Warp Speed. And I don't know what these guys know. They do the best job within the system that they can. They all seem to back up. What the hell makes them back up? Why did Sheriff Clark resign? I'm not talking about what they said. Why did General Mattis resign? He resigned back in 2020. Next thing I know, he's doing commercials. Wear a mask. Come on. That's a Marine Corps general, one of the most beloved ones ever. Dude, seriously. You just got to think about it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to come up here and say anything other than common sense shit. They can't institute a one world government if you have a united America. If you have a strong United States. And they're expertly dividing us. Now they're doing the race thing. In 2020, it was the white cop that no one ever heard of, kills the black dude. They all just, and there's all this shit, dudes speaking for 9 seconds while they can't, all the misinformation they put out there. January 6th was real. Yeah, that shaman, he wasn't some left-wing LARPer that went to medieval fairs. Oh, and there wasn't actual government employees that forgot to take their IDs off. Oh, and not one firearm reached into that area. The peaceful protesters with firearms were way kept out. Like all this stuff to get you fighting over the bullshit of them instead of saying, hey, can't you see they're tricking us? Can't you see that we're being bamboozled and fooled? So don't try to get your pound of flesh back, guys. Because in another few years, they're going to get their pound of flesh back when they come take all your guns. And something else I got to say since I got this job. I call this a job. This is my job. I do this. I'm on the One Great Work Network. I have other things I do. But in police work, I was a community policer. I wasn't hot and heavy on getting minor misdemeanor violations for the jurisdiction I worked in. I had a lot of years on the job. I've had a lot of friends and acquaintances, cops that I've had friends, on Facebook for many years. I had 4 chiefs of police that were friends. See, I was in police work so long that if you're on a medium, small to small department, most of the people I knew they're up there. They're captains or chiefs. Medium-sized departments, they're sergeants. One of my friends was in a big department. Well, 2 of my chief friends are gone. Okay? Because they heard the wrong shit about me. And a couple of them are still there. I lost a couple people I kind of liked. And that's not necessarily their fault. A couple years ago, I wasn't being unifying in my message. I was putting out the wrong stuff. I talked to a friend of mine who's a sergeant on the 7th largest city in Ohio, and I was like, hey, dude, I don't mean to be so heavy on the guys, man. I was one guy for so long. And he's like, no, dude, we all agree with you. Most of them agree with me with what I was saying, but I still was coming across confrontational, adversarial, not unifying. Because we need cops on our side. You guys got to understand, man, they're going to throw you under the bus at their earliest convenience. Just get hurt in the line of work. Something that's not heroic. And even under those circumstances, look at the responders to 9/11. They will throw you under the bus. They don't give a shit about you. It's the order followers throughout human history who have enabled every atrocity to take place. Even if you try and think you're not going to do it, they'll replace you. You see it. It's what they're doing now by putting military troops, half of whom are pathway to citizenship people. Hey, right wing, if I'm not mistaken, okay, y'all don't want smart cities because that's freedom. You lose your freedom. And you don't want people over the border being able to do certain things, and now you got them in your military, pathway to citizenship. And they're in your smart cities, in the future smart cities. Okay. You can't connect those dots? All you gotta do is look throughout history. Have you ever been lied to? Has America ever lied? Has the government ever lied? Did they ever lie about UFOs and extraterrestrials? Did they? Swamp gas balloons? They've got you really bamboozled. People think when they hear the word psyop, they got you thinking, oh, it's a psychological operation. It's to influence you to do their bidding. So, a couple of the observations I made, and a couple of the dots that I connected, and they were questions. I had questions. How come a girl who gets stabbed in the neck several times, bad enough to bleed out, which means an artery was obviously hit, how come she didn't pass out? How come adrenaline didn't have blood squirting all over the place? Why'd all the people just do nothing? Did you see the visual? A white Ukrainian girl? If I'm not mistaken, if I can get this correctly, the socialist party in our country that everyone likes to call socialist, they like communists, so they're for Russia. Right? So the right wing is for Russia, the left wing is for the Ukraine or whatever. So they have a black person with 4 or 5 other black people not doing anything, stabbing this poor white girl who doesn't bleed. I had such a strong emotional reaction to that, I had to start asking questions. Is this even real? I seen a video, of Charlie Kirk, a 38 frame per second video. It took 15 frames before blood even showed. And they're talking about second shooters and this and that and the other thing. They claim it was a 30-06. They showed a picture of it. There was no silencer. So I got questions. 1, how come the report, even on TV, wasn't louder? 2, why wasn't he actually nearly on the ground by the second frame with blood everywhere? A 30-06 can drop a moose. Unless some type of special, round was used that's going to not create an exit wound. I didn't see one of those. He gets ushered away into a black vehicle and boom. It's questions. I'm not inferring anything, but some critical thought should be needed. Now listen, I've said before, I'm an anarchist. But don't take that to mean I'm some violent person that just hates people that work for the state. I worked for the state for 27 fucking years. No, I get it. I'm trying to reach out to y'all, and I did a bad job and lost a few of you. It's okay. I'll get better at it. And comes from the Greek prefix meaning without. Archon means ruler, and archon means without a ruler. Anarchists usually always are, by nature, fairly spiritual. Because they understand the non-aggression principle and all that. I don't really tell people I'm an anarchist, though. I tell them, hey, you know what, I'm a libertarian that leans a little more right than left. And, yeah. And people understand that. Because if you just tell them I don't vote, I don't believe in this, I don't vote, they're like, oh my God, then you don't have a right to say anything. No, I have a right to say something. Both sides, I can see what both of them are doing. Again, this isn't something I constantly want to talk about. I'm not going to talk about it, man. I may not even go into it after the show. That's how old the shit's getting me. You just got to understand that they're tricking you. Bad. Now, there's something that I wanted to read to you. I posted it. So let me get back to it. I had to go all out of order because I didn't have the page set up the way I wanted to have it set up. What's this one? Yeah, this is a quote by Mark Passio. Learning the truth is not pretty, it's not fun. It will make you mad. It will make you see all the dirt that has accumulated in the soul of humanity. Enlightenment is about throwing the light on the darkness, on the negative. It's about seeing the negative. It's not about being super happy. That's a false spiritual enlightenment teaching. And that's something the New Agers in the yoga community try to do. That's cool. I kind of almost threw the baby out with the bathwater with that. Why am I not getting to what I want to get to? Oh my God. I'll look it up here. We'll do it live time now. We'll look it up. It's a... Oh, okay. It's an excerpt. Okay. It is an excerpt. By William Cooper. William Cooper wrote a book called Behold the Pale Horse. He wrote it in 1991. When I was reading it, I swear to God, I had to look to see what chapter 6 was, if it was just written in March, because he detailed what was happening in 2020 back in 1991. He was an Air Force officer and a Navy intelligence officer on nuclear subs who's seen fake UFOs, knew what they were, reverse engineered technology ran by humans and real ones. He was able to differentiate. But he wrote this is part of his book. It's called An Indoctrination Programming Manual, a silent weapons for quiet wars. All right. Let me keep going. They've got a big, these fucking people. I might read it to you next week. Because that was like Wikipedia. Let's see. Oh, I'm using AI right now. So, let's see, let's do it. Alright, here it is. You gotta know how to use AI. You really do. AI is a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. I named mine Jarvis. So, silent war. It is patiently impossible to discuss social engineering or the automation of a society, i.e. the engineering of social automation systems, silent weapons, on a national or worldwide scale without implying extensive objectives of social control and destruction of human life, slavery, and genocide. We're not seeing that in the collective now, are we? Wait a minute, is that anarchism? Has anarchy broken out? No, there is no anarchism at all. Government's broken out. Let me see here. I want the whole quote. See, you got to get them to work for you, man. In a nutshell, the quote tells you that the war is going to be won without a shot being fired. They're using psychological warfare on you to play to your emotions, and they're going to have the people do it themselves. Okay? I am going to be better prepared as I get better at it. This is only my second time back. It's aggravating me that I don't. I didn't have this. I've got it on my machine here, and I just didn't pull it out before. I was getting ready for something else. Sometimes I'm like D'Artagnan. I do too many things at once. I'm going to be, calming that shit down. The two oldest political tricks are divide and conquer, also known as divide and rule, and Hegelian dialectics, also known as problem, reaction, solution. They provide the problem, because I guarantee you, the building I lived in with 500 people, we all got along, so it wasn't anything ethic. There was no racial tensions in the building, and they used that to devastating effect. Now, to a chief friend that I just lost, I hope you're listening. Because you said, get lost, scum. You were a working chief. We patrolled together. We were friends on Facebook for 15 years. I won't say your name. And I could use a platform to be very vitriolic towards you, but I knew you as a good person. I know you didn't dig how I was back then. In your own words, I didn't provide enough product. I wasn't writing citations. I get it. You didn't like my confidence. I felt that energy a little bit from you. But other than that, we got along, we laughed. You were a good person. We were friends on Facebook for 15 years. And over this meme, it's a meme that I shared because it resonated. I'll read it. It doesn't say nothing derisive, nothing bad about Charlie Kirk, nothing at all. It just says, you know what the biggest scam is? Not whether he was a good, or not whether he was bad, or not whether if he really died or not, but the fact that most think he fought for freedom. Freedom isn't found in politics. You will never find freedom in politics. So, Chief, you were a, as far as I'm concerned, you were a hostage negotiator and all that. I wouldn't want you negotiating for me if you're going to just, you wait 15 years, the first time you ever post on anything of mine, you picked that to do it. During the first 4 or 5 years of all this, I lost left-wing friends. I'm going to call it how I see it. Don't be so emotionally triggered. Dude, you're a good person. I blocked him, by the way. He didn't just leave me. Other people left me. I blocked him because I'm not going to have someone talk to me like that on my page. I just blocked him. But, I'm going to say to you, I think you're a good person. I'm unhappy that I don't really give a fuck, but, you called me scum. It seemed like you were waiting for that. You don't know what real anarchism is. And I'm trying to serve humanity in a capacity where I protect and serve and uphold my fucking oath that I took to fight for those and protect those who can't do it for themselves. Not to write tickets to make money for a city, and not to uphold the arbitrary dictates of some immoral politician who keeps you all fighting each other. Because morals are objective, written into the fabric of reality, right? God's law. Don't hurt people and don't steal. How hard is it to get that through your fucking heads? I don't get it. It's literally, it's so easy, a caveman can teach it. Why are we failing at this? One last final thing I want to say, because I know I'm coming up on the end of my time. If you were a leader, because I've seen how you taught people. You were a teacher. To the best capacity you could be, and you were a working supervisor. I hope you're doing all right now. I don't know what you're doing. I know you got some problems, health problems, I'll pray for you still. But I'm not scum for wanting to uphold my oath that I didn't get to uphold while I was actually doing the job. Because they tell you who you can do it on and who you can't. Situational law enforcement. You know it's there. But you were a leader because you taught people. And you were kind. And I know that's still there. That's just how triggering these types of things are. So reach back into that kindness, because the world needs the kindness. Like I said earlier, leaders don't want to rule nothing. Leaders are teachers. When was the last time you learned something from a politician? One last thing on objective morality, natural law, karma. Understanding it is the basic foundational level to being a good human being, because the bad guys in the world, they live in accordance to natural law, and they're very evil. You need to understand that. And our lack of action is implied consent. It's like a vampire getting permission to cross that threshold to feed on you. It won't ask permission a second time. It doesn't need to. You've already given it. They're karmically free. It's the action takers that bear the brunt of the bad karma. Karma's good too. It's neutral. Just like gravity. You'll jump off something. Gravity doesn't care if you don't want to fall. At any rate, that's all I got to say for today, folks. Nothing but love and light. I usually go to the music comes on. Hopefully hopefully this was a good one. Hopefully I am being listened to. I haven't got no messages, but anyway, man, peace out, folks. Nothing but love to next week. Stay safe, stay frosty.